It's a mission impossible to keep everybody happy. It is near impossible to run the business the way we want to in a way that everybody's happy. By the way, you might be wondering, what's a Zoomer? Let me just clarify for you the difference between an X, Y, and a Zoomer. You know you're an X because you're in your 30s. I keep it really simple. I don't give you any demographic charts that tell you the cutoff. And by the way, I feel that generations is very generalized because some things that may be true about a Gen Y are not true as we generalize them. Some things we say about baby boomers may not be true for you, and some of the things we say about Gen Xers may not be true for you. In fact, I often say you could be a boomer or a Zoomer, and by the way, a Zoomer is a boomer who refuses to age. Just so you know who you are. So you can be a Zoomer and behave like a Gen Y, and you could be a Gen Y and behave very much like your Zoomer parent. And so just to keep that straight. So on any given day we feel like this mouse, but how does it feel for us in this room? We could actually, as leaders, look back and say, you know, I did a really good job of leading this particular person. And I'm sure many of you in this room could say that, but how many of you equally, and you don't have to give me hands, you can just give me eye contact here. How many of you in this room think when somebody's left your business, I could have done better? Or there's something I could have done differently? I think what's happening with generations right now is we are looking at leadership from a generational values and viewpoint, and we need to be moving forward as we grow. What do we have in common, Zoomers, with the Gen Y? One thing. We breathe air. Yes, that is something we have in common. We breathe air. Are we both human? Do we both have people who love us? Hopefully. Okay. Do we both have strong values and ideas? Yes. Do we both think we're right? Yes. Okay. It's interesting because the number one research feedback that I got when I polled a bunch of Gen Ys about working with Zoomers, they said the number one thing they wish Zoomers would do with them more is be open to implementing their ideas. Now, I found it fascinating this morning when the technology was mentioned and someone at my table, and they didn't know that I was a speaker today, said, if it ain't broke, why fix it? That is such a classic Zoomer statement right there. And you know what, Zoomers? How many of you are willing to admit right here that we push back against technology? Why? No, many of us are technologically adaptable, but you have to admit there are some things we push back on. Why do we push back on it? Because who has to change? We do. We still hold the majority of population in the workplace, and so we still have a voice. But I'm telling you, Gen Y and Gen X is saying, if it ain't broke, it is going to be broken, and we need to fix it before it gets broken. Here's a slide that was done just actually in October, actually just a couple days ago. It was released by J.D. Powers on Gen Ys. And this is actually as what they released as more Gen Ys following their brands using social media. And these companies listed are the ones most followed by Gen Ys in the social media realm. Okay, now social media includes Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. A company that's done very well to expose their brand to Gen Y is Best Buy. And if you go put the words Best Buy into the search engines on YouTube, you will see that they've done a whole bunch of videos and released it because YouTube is the most watched video channel on the internet by Gen Y. Now, I didn't investigate what McDonald's is doing in regards to social media, but I'll tell you right now, you know, because I know you're trying to recapture the mom market, and of course the youth market is already in your market, but this whole goodwill you're doing, the healthy menu that you're doing, all of that the word needs to be spread. Because there's a lot of people who left McDonald's because it wasn't healthy food, and they are coming back as you tell them the things that you're doing. And so traditional advertising, TV works, but there's ways these other people are getting their information. They're now getting information on their mobile phone about where to eat and where to go. How about the other young lady who was in the Okanagan, and her father happened to own a paving company. And she was studying environmental solutions, and they were looking at plastic. She came home at the dinner table and she said to her dad, "Dad, isn't it true that when plastic is heated, it expands, and when it's cold, it contracts?" And her father said, "Yes." And she said, "So why isn't it being used as an additive in asphalt or paving?" That idea was given 5 years ago. Dad went from $1 billion to $10 billion by implementing that idea, which is also an environmental idea. Gen Y, highly environmentally conscious.